Welcome back. John Van Limbeek joining us from Abbott Wealth Management on this Wednesday afternoon. Great to have you back on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talking today about the 6 pitfalls to look out for when you're planning your estate. These are important points.
They are, and there's something to be aware of, and there's always pros and cons to anything to consider, right? It's not always done financially, and it's not always done for another reason, but just be aware of it. And people think that because they do one thing that there's no other repercussions that could happen.
Right.
So
let us go to the first slide. There we are.
So I said the first one there is don't prepare your own will. I mean, a lot of people think that they can do it. They can buy it themselves for $50 or whatever it is.
What's the deal on buying your own will kit? You really can do that, can't you?
You can, absolutely. I don't know why you would leave something so serious to
chance that you'll forget
for
things.
$50.
Well, you're certainly not going to remember everything, because I know for myself, there's things that you don't even think about that you absolutely are glad you went to somebody professional that brought it up, right?
And, that's the key. I'm sure they do very well. I haven't seen one, honestly, but I'm sure they walk you through it. But there's just so many changes that happen so fast.
Yes.
And again, with the will, you're no longer here to speak of your intentions, and that's the idea behind the will, is what are your last intentions. Right?
So don't prepare your own. Consider the issue of mental capacity. Yeah,
so in that regard is just in how are you functioning in regards to, can you speak for yourself or think reasonably, right? So there was a case in the States, and they're always got these wild cases, but where you leave your dog $12 million. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? And then you get into a legal battle in regards to, did mom or dad or granny and grandpa, whoever it is, really mean to do that? When was the will done? What was the capacity of the person? So, again, you're back to a lawyer, to talk to a lawyer on that. They know what's better. They have to make sure they're able to come to that conclusion.
Sure.
Really. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So
next slide.
Make sure others know where to find your will. I mean, it sounds simple, but again, if someone, usually your executor should know, but it doesn't necessarily mean they do know. There is a registry in BC that when you do your will through a lawyer, that they do register. Normally, they do register your will with Victoria. But that's just where it sits. My understanding is it doesn't show them all the document. It just says, go to X law firm, and they'll have it there. You can also do that if you keep your own will in your safe or a safety deposit box, but let your executor know where it is, just so they have a knowledge of where that is.
Absolutely. Yeah. That number 4, there we go. A joint names arrangement isn't always the best. What does that mean?
Well, a lot of people think that putting joint names on a bank account or on an account will solve a lot of problems, or all of them. Right. And they won't. It's just, they may avoid probate, but you can't avoid taxes. You may be able to, you may introduce other liability issues. So as soon as you have 2 names on an account or on an asset, that asset is up for creditor issues if one of those owners has issues with liability or other creditors or anything like that. So it's a lot of people will say that, and it's simple. You're absolutely, from that point of view, yes, you can put a joint name on a bank account, and if mom passes away, it just comes to me, and for the most part, yes, but there's more to it. Again, speak to a lawyer to understand the pros and the cons.
Absolutely.
Right, and you might still want to do it, but just understand the other side. They talk. We had that in our family about putting a house into a joint ownership, and then now you're dealing with a large asset that could have a potential big liability if there's an issue, separation from an owner, like a marital separation or something like that too, right? Like you said, there's a lot of other issues that you don't necessarily think about unless you talk to a lawyer or accountant or someone who's qualified to give advice on that.
Yeah, devil's in the details on that.
Absolutely.
Last slide, a couple more points.
Guardians shouldn't always be sole trustees, and all that's saying there is the guardians for your children, don't make them the only trustee. You can, there's nothing wrong with that, but but it may help to have, maybe a guardian and another trustee manage that trust.
Right.
So if you're leaving money in trust for someone, children or someone else, There are parameters usually around what the trustee can do, but nonetheless, it can still go sideways and still not get caught till it's too late.
Okay.
So give that some consideration. And last one is don't ignore your personal credit rating. And it's a little quirky little thing, but it's if let's say the husband has worked for all his life in the last generation and mom hasn't, or the wife hasn't, she won't have a credit rating, or she may not have a credit rating. And all of a sudden, of course, the men seem to leave earlier, and they need to be able to. Mom has to go, or the wife has to go, or the other spouse has to go and apply for a credit card
and they have no credit rating.
And they have no credit rating.
Well, what do you do?
Well, that's exactly it, and it's tough. Like I've heard about this recently happening too, as well as reading about it. So all they're saying is get a credit card, even if you nominally use it for the year. Maybe put one bill in your name. Doesn't matter. Make sure you have a credit rating. Make sure both parents have a credit rating.
Sure.
Maybe just to be aware of it, and you wouldn't think of it. It's like, maybe you've got lots of life insurance, maybe you're taken care of, but you need credit.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So,
we're outliving you, John.
The ladies usually are.
The ladies are outliving the men, so
yes,
make sure you have your own credit rating.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. We're out of time.
Yeah.
Appreciate the tips today. If you have any questions about this topic, or if you have some questions that you would like to ask the folks at Abbott Wealth, you can certainly do that. Phone number's on the screen, 372-3736 as well, abbottwealth.com. We are back after a quick break. Stay with us.